So last weekend, I got a PR average in my main event, which is always pretty good. And I was planning on making just a regular reconstruction video for it, but I was thinking, hey, 2x2 is a very mentality based event. There's a lot that goes through your brain before the solve, during inspection, during the solve, and after the solve.
Yes.
So I was thinking, how about I also reconstruct my brain? Hey, that probably didn't sound right. Before we go on, make sure to like and subscribe! There will be a link in the description with all the 5 scrambles plus some other scrambles from the competition. But here we go, first solve, cube cover comes off, and usually as soon as inspection starts I do one of these things, just a little flick through, just to find any bars on the cube. So a bar is 2 of the same color touching each other. On this scramble, all I can see is this orange kind of V with 3 pieces attached. And the other corner is facing up. So, to make our face, for this case specifically, there are usually 2 good ways of doing it. One of them is holding it like this, doing a U, and doing an R2 to pair these up, and doing a U prime and an R2 back. Now, this left me with an EG2 face, and it would have left me with this EG2 case. Now, of course, I one-looked this, which means I predicted that I would get this case. However, I'm not the biggest fan of this case specifically, so what I did is I looked at the other way that you can solve this case, which is from this angle in a pretty similar fashion. You can do U prime and then pair up the pieces like this, and then connect the 2 bars together. So this left me with this EG1 case. However, the thing is with EG1, usually you would want the bar to be at the back. So instead of doing it from this angle, I did it from this angle. And the moves from here would be a U prime, and then L2, U, L2. It's the same thing, but from the other angle, and it leaves me with the bar at the back. And from here, I just do a U2, and I would also predict AUF. So, how I do it for this case specifically, is that this bar will stay here. Or you can look at this bar, which will also stay here. Whatever it is, it's the same thing. As you can see, this blue will come here, and blue will end up on the front, because these 2 corners will be swapping, and you should be able to tell that blue will be at the front here. So, because blue will be here, I have to do a U2. And then U2. Now, when I saw this solution, I had one big doubt in my mind, and it is the left-hand regrip. Now, usually regrips are pretty common in 2x2, especially after building the face, because usually your hand might end up in a weird position. So you might have to regrip your right hand or your dominant hand, which is usually fine. But the thing is, this was a left-handed layer, so after doing it, I would have to regrip my left hand. And usually, well, at least for me, regripping my left hand is not something I'm particularly good at, and especially under competition pressure. It's something that is really prone to lockups. However, there wasn't much else I could do on this scramble, as this was the only bar, or bars I guess. So I just went with it. And the final time was a 2.05, 30 moves at 6.3 TPS. Now usually 6.3 TPS isn't like exceptional for me. However, I was actually really happy about that execution at the time. And the reason is, it had a lot of double moves. In fact, 7 of those 30 moves were double moves, which means that this was 20 quarter turns at 9.8 quarter turns per second. So that was already kind of good, but also with the regrip and how I really could have messed this up, this was actually a pretty good execution for me. So with a decent start on solve 1, the cube cover comes off for solve 2, and I see this really nice yellow and red block. So usually when you see something like this, you should probably check both solutions, or both colors I should say. So on yellow, there's a pretty nice solution. You can do F prime to solve this corner, and RU prime R prime to solve this corner to create a CLO layer, and you get this CLO case, which is quite nice. But obviously I checked red also, and unfortunately the solution isn't as great, as it's a awkward-ish layer. This is actually the Elias layer, bit of a reference. You can do U and then F prime RF, and you get this EG1 case, but you have to rotate, or you could do it from the other angle, and I think you get a pretty decent LEG one, which is when the bar is on the left, but I didn't really bother with that. So I just went with the standard solution, which is doing F prime, I prime, R prime, and then into this CLL. And to predict AUF, it's pretty simple. These bars will just stay on their respective sides. So you can predict that this orange will go here, or this red will go to here. Whatever it is, you will find that the AUF for this specific case is a U prime. Final time was a 1.98. It was a 17 move solution executed at around 8.6 turns per second. And I did feel a bit of a lockup near the end of the solve. This is a bit more exaggerated while I was competing, but looking back at the footage, it didn't look that bad. But what was really bad is how I missed this pretty simple solution on blue. It's a 2 move face, so U prime, R prime, but as you can see the bar's on the right, so we can hold it like this instead. R prime, F prime, and we get our bar at the back, U2, and then we get this really nice EG1 case with a U2 AUF. And if I saw that the face was really easy like that, I definitely would have checked it. Don't know how I missed that, but that's definitely something I need to work on. Nevertheless, I'd already started with 2 pretty decent times, so let's get into the third solve. So this is actually pretty interesting because there are quite a few bars on this scramble, which means that there will be quite a few things to check. So I firstly checked yellow with this pretty nice V, and we can insert this corner pretty easily like this to create an EG1 face. And it gives me this EG1 case, which some people don't like, but I don't tend to mind it too much. However, there were other bars, so I had to keep looking, and on red, we can see a pretty similar case from before, where we can insert the corner like that, and it gives me this CLL case, but I didn't really like the solution too much, so I tried it from the other angle like this, but obviously the bar's at the front here, so do it from the other angle like this, and it gave me this pretty nice EG1 case, but as I said from before, you know, the lefty regrip, that would be a problem, so I didn't want that to screw me up. Actually thinking about it, that's all I checked, but actually there is this 5 move LEG1 face on white, which goes something like this, and it would have given me this LEG1 case. Now I'm going to pause on that to show you what I ended up doing, because there is something really cool with that solution, but what I did for the solve is the solution in yellow, like this. And to predict AUF, I just look at this sticker, so this is orange, and it will stay here. So when these two corners swap, we'll have red at the front. So because they are opposites, it will be a U2 AUF. Alright, back to that solution on white. So if I'd seen this, I might have considered it, but when I saw that this would give me an LEG1 case and I would likely have to rotate, I just abandoned it completely. However, if I went along with it, I'm not going to go into the full details, but I could have cancelled into the algorithm, giving me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 move solution. So that might have been sub 1, which would have been insane. But whatever, the turning on the 185 was pretty good already. It was an 18 move solution executed at around 9.7 TPS. Fun fact, I have another official 18 move 185. Can you guess what it is? It's this solve. Probably the most clutch solve of my entire cubing career. That's a topic for another video. So here we are, we're at the fourth solve. Now, I'm willing to bet most of you have been in this position before. You started off with 3 pretty good solves, and now we're at the fourth solve. This is when you start to get kinda nervous. Now, one thing that I could have done on this solve is guaranteed my PR average.
So actually, I just looked at the times again, and if you want to have a shot at guaranteeing your PR average or just some target average going into the fourth solve, then the mean of the 3 times that you've already gotten needs to be faster than your target / PR average. So in this case, I was off by 0.01, which meant that I couldn't guarantee my PR on the fourth solve.
Now, I did not calculate the time I needed to do that, because that would have made me even more nervous. Alright, so the cube cover comes off, and there are 3 bars on this scramble. One of them here is white, and what you can do is a 3 move EG2 face like this, but we get this same not favorable case from before. So then I checked doing it like this, which gives you an even worse case. So then I checked yellow, which is 3 moves to this pretty nice EG1 case, And I decided that it's the last solve. If I looked any further, I might have forgotten this solution due to nerves, so I just went with it. And it's a pretty nice AUF trick for this. If one of these colors matches the front, so for example, this front color would be orange because when these two corners swap, you can see that we'll have orange at the front. So you can put orange at the front and you can do the algorithm from this angle, like this, and that means you'll skip AUF. But instead, let's say I finished the moves like this, and instead to put this orange at the front, I get the case from this angle. So instead, I would do the mirror algorithm. Now there was another solution on red which I didn't check, which is a 4-move EG2 face into this case, which is basically soon cancelled into R2B2 or R2F to R2, whichever one you want to do, but I didn't see it because of nerves. But also, unfortunately, because of nerves, I really locked up on the solve. You can actually see it in the video. The nerves kind of got to me. Despite it only being 13 moves, it was only executed at around 6.8 TPS. Warning, this part gets a little deep. So, I finished the solve, and I kind of take one glance at the scorecard, because at this point, I knew I'd already gotten a pretty decent average, but I wasn't sure if it was PR or not. I show the camera my timer, I sign the scorecard, and then I look away from it. I send the cube off. And the reason is, I knew if I calculated my worst possible average, and basically that's the average that I would get if I got my worst time, so in this case a 2:05 or worse. If I got my worst possible average, and it wasn't sub my PR, I would have gotten really nervous on the last solve. And that's not helpful, which is why I just sent the cube away, do not want to think about the times at all. And it is quite clutch that I did that because my worst possible average, which by the way is calculated by omitting the best time of the 4 solves so far and taking the mean of the other 3. My worst possible average was 198, which is still pretty decent, but not sub my PR of 195. So my mentality for this solve was kind of just to go for it. Whatever I see, just go for it. So cube cover comes off and I see 2 bars, a white bar and an orange bar. So I check the white bar first, which is a 2-move EG1 face to this case, and it's not a great case, but it is kind of spammable. And there is another 2-move face on orange to the exact same case. So when I saw this, I was like, bro, okay, I didn't really want to have to do that case to clutch PR average, but I guess that's life. So after seeing both solutions, I had to decide which one I wanted to do. There probably was something else on, I don't know, some other color, but I was too nervous to check anything. And my decision was to do the white face. Now the reason that I chose this is because on orange, to put the bar at the back, I would have to do U2L prime, or to make it right-handed and avoid the left-hand rear grip, I could do something like B2R prime, and then U2 and then go into the algorithm. However, on white, you can do U2L, or you can do F2 and then R. In my opinion, in this scenario, doing an F2 was slightly more comfortable than doing a B2, which can make all the difference in a very high pressure environment. So that's what I went for, U2, and I do this EG1 case. Some of you are going to call me out for using this algorithm, but I think it's alright. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention the AUF prediction. So basically, I look at the top and 2 of these stickers will match. So it's this red. So that color will go to the front. So as you can see, red will need to go here in the end. So I have to do a U prime. And then I finish off the solve, put my hands on the timer, and I get my best possible average, a time of 176 and a PR average of 192. It was a flawless execution, 17 moves, 9.7 TPS. Kinda mad that it wasn't 10 TPS, but whatever. And I do probably one of the loudest claps I've ever done in my cubing career. I probably gave around 4 E1s, so sorry delegates. But yeah, that felt quite good to get, especially considering I had practiced quite a bit of 2x2 leading up to this competition. So to see it pay off immediately with a PR average of 192 was really great. So I hope you learned a bit about how the mind of a pro 2x2er, take that term lightly, works. I definitely learned something. It's that, well, I didn't really learn it, it's just something that I still need to do, it's checking more solutions in inspection, because the more solutions you check in inspection, there will be a better chance of you finding something good. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.